Did you know there's a Japanese ghost so terrifying, people are warned never to speak to him, never to look back, and never, ever, to answer his question? Tonight, we dive into the chilling legend of Aka Manto, a spirit whose story begins in the quiet corners of old Japanese schools, but has somehow echoed across generations, evolving, mutating, and surviving in the darkest places where fear lives longest. It begins in the late 1930s, during a time when Japan was rapidly modernizing, but its schools still carried the eerie emptiness of older traditions. Hallways were long. Bathrooms were often placed at the far ends of buildings, cold, echoing, and separated from the classrooms. Students would always whisper about strange shadows, unexplained footsteps, and the one stall nobody wanted to use. And then, one rumor changed everything. They say it started with a boy who went missing during his routine bathroom break. Teachers thought he had run away. His friends thought he was skipping class. But the ones who heard the truth said he returned, shaking, pale, unable to speak for hours. When he finally did, he described a voice behind him. A man's voice. Calm, soft, but close. Too close. Would you like a red cloak? Or a blue one? From that moment, Aka Manto was born. The Red Cloak Spirit. A ghost that doesn't appear in front of you. A ghost that doesn't announce itself. A ghost that waits behind you, in the most vulnerable place you can imagine. The story spread fast. Children whispered about a tall man wearing a flowing red cape and a mask so smooth and white it looked like lacquer. Some said the mask was smiling. Others swore it was blank, emotionless, like a porcelain face with no features, only darkness where the eyes should be. The rules were simple. You sit in the last stall. You hear a whisper, red cloak or blue cloak, and whichever answer you choose decides how you die. If you choose red, he slices you open until you're drenched in crimson, as if wearing a blood-soaked cape. If you choose blue, he strangles the life from you, draining the blood until your body turns a chilling shade of blue. Terrifying, yes, but the legend becomes even stranger, because no one agrees on who Aka Manto actually is. Some say he was a handsome young man obsessed with his appearance, who died while wearing a red cloak, eternally cursed to ask others about their choices. Others say he was a serial killer whose victims were found in bathrooms, all drained or mutilated. Another theory claims he was no human at all, just a yokai, a supernatural trickster feeding on fear. But the most chilling version, the one rarely told, it says Aka Manto evolves. That answering red and blue are no longer the only choices. That children have reported hearing new options, colors no one had ever heard before, green, yellow, black, even none. And each answer leads to a death so gruesome the descriptions are whispered only in the darkest corners of school rumor. Teachers ignored it at first. They called it superstition. But when certain stalls were found locked from the inside with no student present, when entire classes refused to use certain bathrooms, when janitors reported footprints leading into a stall, with no footprints leaving it, the legend became harder and harder to ignore. And then came the strangest part. The reports weren't limited to one school. Cities miles apart, decades apart, different buildings, different children, same voice, same question, same outcome. So is Aka Manto real? Well, here's the thing about Japanese legends. They survive because someone, somewhere, believes they encountered something. And fear has a way of keeping a story alive far longer than logic ever could. There are even modern accounts. Children in the early 2000s claiming they heard the whisper in abandoned bathrooms, older students daring each other to stay in the last stall, and paranormal investigators claiming to hear voices on empty floors. But the question remains, is Aka Manto a spirit born from a single terrifying event? Or is he something older, something that has always existed, simply taking on new forms as generations evolve? Before we continue, if you're loving this deep dive into dark folklore and legends, make sure you're subscribed. I bring stories like this every week. Real history, unsettling mysteries, and the darkest tales from around the world. Your support keeps these stories alive, and it helps more people discover them. So tap subscribe, like the video, and drop a comment. It genuinely helps the channel grow. Now, back to the story. Some folklorists have suggested that Aka Manto isn't about ghosts at all, but fear itself. A test, a symbol, a way to warn children about the dangers of isolation, of going alone, of ignoring their instincts when something doesn't feel right. But if that's true, Why do so many people claim they heard the same voice? Why do so many describe the same mask, the same cloak, the same impossible whisper inside an empty stall? One theory suggests that Aka Manto might be a form of thought form, a spirit created by collective fear. When enough people believe in something, when enough children whisper the same story, does the legend begin to breathe? There's a chilling idea in Japanese folklore. A story gains power when it is told. And Aka Manto has been told for almost a century. Toward the end of our investigation, we discovered something even more disturbing, something rarely mentioned outside Japan. A version of the legend says that Aka Manto doesn't always appear behind the victim. Sometimes he appears above them, on the ceiling, watching, silently waiting until they look up, and then offering only one choice. A color no one has dared repeat. And the people who hear it, they never talk again. The legend concludes with one final warning. If you find yourself in an old bathroom, in the last stall, and you hear a whisper asking you to choose a color, don't choose red. Don't choose blue. Don't answer at all. Stand up, walk out, and never look behind you. Because Aka Manto only needs your attention to follow you. And once you acknowledge him, the legend says he never stops asking. Now, I want to hear from you. Do you think Aka Manto is just a schoolyard myth? Or is there something darker hiding behind that whisper? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you want more deep, unsettling legends like this, make sure you subscribe, like the video, and share it with someone who loves a good scare. Thank you for watching. And remember, if you hear a whisper asking you to choose a color, walk away.